Hi everybody. I want to show you a tour of my Star Trek inspired, let's just say, Space Engineers build. It only uses a couple of weapon core mods, but everything else is pretty standard. It's not designed to be any particular ship, though it is heavily inspired from the Excelsior class, because my interest in Trek is more in the movie era kind of stylings, and I think the Excelsior is a great looking ship. And the other thing of a design goal is that it's very much survival ready, it's very much practically built, and the interiors are very important as well. So the exterior suffers a little bit about the shape, but you'll see once we go inside. So let's enter through the side docking ring. Actually, no. Save everybody the trouble. Let's just cut to the chase and go right to the bridge. So on the right side of the bridge here, there's an airlock. The O2 system seems to be acting up, but I think it's just the complexity of the ship doesn't fill right away. So, of course, we've got a bathroom, always important. But here's the main bridge. So we've got the captain's chair, his first officer, and then chief engineer or whoever else. And we've got these little consoles here. We've got radar, jump drive status. We've got our power situation and artificial horizon. And then we've got damage report, which currently nothing's damaged. The air system is leaking everywhere because the Space Engineers is glitched out right now. I've got all the production status, communications. I've got what ships are docked and escape pods, which we'll look at later. This is the ops station, and then this, of course, is the helm station. We've got general information, jump drive status, power status, shield status, some displays here, a map, radar system, which is glitched out for some reason. I got to work on that. The ship's still a work in progress. And then if we go back here, we've got engineering, and we've got tactical, which we'll take a look at. And a fun little thing here is that you can kind of power down the bridge systems or power them back on. And of course, red alert. And red alert activates a bunch of systems, turns on the shields, powers up the weapon systems, closes all the doors, closes a bunch of pressure doors. It does a lot of things. You'll discover it as you explore the ship. And then, of course, we've got the ready room, which is not really worth seeing. And while we're here, we'll look at the escape pod system, too. So this is the conference room, general information about the ship. But here's the fun stuff. So if I go through this airlock, I've got these escape pods. So there's 4 seats in each escape pod. You just enter it, and then on the action bar, just press 1, and away she goes. And it uses hydrogen thrust to push itself all the way away from the ship, though I'm actually going to increase the timing. Yeah, and then it breaks away the armor plate that kind of is the exterior plates of the ship. And I'm actually going to, I'm working in progress, I'm going to extend the burn time because the phasers have a 5-kilometer range. So if you're engaging somebody with phasers, the escape pod should probably travel more than 5 kilometers. But like I said, the ship's still work in progress. So if we zip back down to the saucer section, we can just climb back through that escape pod. Some maintenance stuff down there. Oop. Back to the main conference room. Gotta update that. And also gotta finish that. That's gonna be the dedication plaque. And then we've got our backup shield controller. The primary one's down in the hull. And then we've got no Jeffries tubes. There's a Jeffries tube. No turbolifts, I mean. It's too complicated to make a whole thing, especially if I'm trying to build a practical ship. So this is the saucer section main access corridors. So you can see that this goes down to the drive section. This goes to the starboard, and this goes to the port, and there's a little list explaining where everything is. It's maintenance hatches I'm not going to bother you guys with. And then that's the forward corridors, and they're color-coded, so there's green and red. And then this is another escape pod. And this is the module. So these are swappable. Like this whole section here detaches, so you can configure the ship for different things. Currently, it's just shuttle bays. And we've got a cargo shuttle, which it's a little bit different from the regular shuttle. It has a bunch of cargo containers. But when we get down to the main shuttle bay, I'll take a shuttle out. And yeah. So, general stuff. Got armories, very exciting. No, still pressurized. Yeah, the air system's glitching out in Space Engineers. Here's some passenger cabins, which I'll let you guys explore on your own. This is a favorite of mine. We got a holodeck, which I'm actually going to turn off the projector just for performance reasons. Crew berth, which is kind of like a barracks, but they're called berths on ships. The mess hall, very exciting. Oh, the music's giving it away. Whoops. Because of course, there's a bar. Because any good ship has got to have a bar. And I'm just gonna turn that off for now. The ship's bar. There's my kind of emblem badge that I've been using for my designs. I only have a couple of designs out, but it's like, keep it consistent. It's not specifically Starfleet, it's Starfleet inspired, put it that way. And then we've got the galley, which is just the kitchen, because, a lot of crew members to feed. There's a brig. So you can, if you capture anybody, you can put them in the brig. They got a toilet and a bed. That's all they get. And then we've got Sickbay. It's very exciting. Like I said, I try to put a little bit of effort into not making the interior cramped, because a lot of the Star Trek-based builds really have very cramped interiors, and I really try to have a very spacious, kind of open feeling interior. Oh, this is the other module. We can take a look here. This one's a little bit different in that it has a bunch of maintenance equipment. So these are the worker bees, or my take on the Star Trek worker bee. And it has these little modules on the bottom. So this is configured for welding. This is configured for grinding. And this is just a spare one. I don't have a minor one just because I'd presume if you're doing mining, you would use a different kind of ship than like a heavy cruiser. But, the ship is equipped with refineries and stuff. Oh, and there's the science lab, but it's just got a couple of, details in there in a refinery. It's not very exciting. As we go down here, is it worth checking that out? No. It is phaser bank controls and other stuff, but it's not very exciting. This is where the ship separates from the saucer section to the drive section. So this was a feature that I thought was very important, and actually the origin of the design comes from trying to build this system. So this is kind of the cavernous area. We've got one reactor that stays with the saucer section, plus it's got some extra batteries just to help with its power needs. But when it's separated, it's really quite non-combat effective, if you know what I mean. Like recharging the phaser banks and the shields really put a strain on that little battery pack, or that little reactor and its battery packs. But it's just there so that you have the ability to maneuver, if like you have to separate the saucer because the drive section becomes too damaged. But yeah, so this is just got a warning here that if we're under red alert, don't hang out here because, the ship could eject the drive section. And then now we're in the drive section. So this is main engineering. This is a backup cockpit. It's self-contained. Just because it was better than having a seat, I think. You got like protection from radiation. It's not hooked up to the conveyor system, but it can steer the ship. Got some general power stuff. And then this is the primary warp core / reactors. So those reactors extend all the way down. Of course, that connects to the saucer section. We have the main shield system. So we've got a modulator and an enhancer that you can control. And there's a welder just for repairing the shield in combat. And then here behind this paneling is the torpedo launchers. So they're down there. And they have welders as well just to keep them protected. And the phaser banks are equipped with welders. And that extends down, and then we've got deflector, we were just there. Shuttlebay. Let's go to the hold of the ship. That's a fun area. Yeah, so this is just the general hold. These are the side airlocks. There's a lot of jump drives. And there's jump drives there. and then I've got two big cargo containers that are kind of the main cargo holds. This is a favorite little feature of mine. It just, flip the switch and the sorter starts dumping all the stone. So if you have like a mining ship that's bringing back a bunch of stone, you can just dump it. This is trash disposal. And then we've got two big refineries down here. Just, you know, it's practical, and also it's a nice detail just to kind of add some industrialness to the bottom of the drive section hold. And I mean, it's not inspired by any particular Star Trek design. It's just, I'm trying to design something that both looks good and is practical for use in space engineers. This is just an access corridor so you can get above the jump drives and reactors for repairing them. Like I said, practicality is a big focus of this design. And I mean, it's a huge ship, so it runs pretty poorly on weaker computers, so it's not that practical, but for my Ryzen system, I can do combat. And you know what, once we're done the tour, we'll do a little bit of combat. They're just long access tunnels. You got observation areas here. The drive section, very importantly, does not have any amenities. Like there's no, well, actually I lied. There's two cryostasis things in case you have to evacuate into the drive section. You have a cryo bed, but like there's no amenities. It's really just for power, jump systems, a little bit of storage or the main storage, and then the rear shuttle bay and the nacelles. Like that's the focus of it. Here we've got the only bathrooms on the drive section, and then this is the rear airlock, which I can actually open from here, and that opens it up. And there's the other shuttle bay, or the other shuttle in the shuttle bay. That's a regular shuttle. Yeah, and I can go down here. Of course, I just depressurized the shuttle bay, so you know, whoops, whatever. But yeah, here's the main shuttle. And before we take this guy out, I also want to point out you can actually get to the nacelles, because that's something that really bothers me about a lot of other Star Trek designs on the workshop, is that they don't have like practicality in mind from like imagining how the crew would be using it. So like if you got to get to the warp nacelles, you know, you got to climb up your ass up there, and then you actually can get to them on foot. On the interior, it's kind of like a Jeffries tube, and there's tubes that go up and down. So let's go to the bottom nacelles. Yeah, and then here are the warp nacelles, which aren't really warp nacelles. They're just filled with hydrogen thrusters. I thought about doing a gravity drive, but gravity drives kill the sim speed so bad, and you know, this is fine for, you'll see once we take it out for combat. This ship's pretty maneuverable. So let's head back to the rear shuttle bay, bounce off all the walls. That reminds me, global permissions, turn damage on so when we go to combat, we can actually do some damage. I just keep damage off while I'm doing building in case I have an accident. Clang gets angry, it's not gonna destroy everything. While we're here, let's take the rear shuttle out. Shuttle's got four passenger seats, and then the pilot and co-pilot. If I just activate it, and then I'm just going to close the doors and keep the hydrogen thrusters off, and then just unlock. And come out the back. You know, and the shuttle has got its ion thrusters, but it also has hydrogen thrusters. I'll wait for that to finish closing. It has hydrogen thrusters too, so you can, you know, land on planets, take off from planets, and it's much more better handling when you got the thrusters on. And of course, like all of my ships, I like to have red alert on 8. So the shuttle has its own red alert, including its own shield system, and then 9 is normal, but let's keep that on. You can see the energy usage is very high because it's got a shield system. And speaking of energy, if I go to page 2, I can activate the phaser array. So the shuttles can defend themselves, but in combat they would immediately get killed. So I don't recommend using them in combat. It's more if, you know, a small little pirate or something comes by. Now let's go back to regular mode. And of course, I'm not going to bother turning the shuttle around because we've got a huge ship to tour, but it's got automatic doors, and when you come in, you would disable your hydrogen thrusters and then reverse backwards. So I've actually got a remote block that's the reverse, and it steers backward when you're in reverse mode, but for now we're just gonna... Oh, I damaged the phaser array with my thrusters. Whoops. It's the rear phaser array. And then just park it, kill the reactors. Oh, you always got to remember to open the doors before you kill the reactors. There you go. I'm just going to very quickly repair that. So that's why you don't use the thrusters, the hydrogen thrusters, when you're coming into land. And then here's a rear cargo hold for all that sort of stuff. Also, is this clear of the sensor? Now let's see if I can close the door. There's an automatic sensor that detects when the shuttle's going by, which I think this guy might be touching. Nope, it's not touching the sensor. Okay. And then, whoops, this guy, that's not supposed to be there. What happened here? Edit text. Okay, something weird happened to this guy. I don't know, I'm gonna have to, I must have accidentally pasted a bunch of text into there or something. Yeah. Like I said, the ship's still a work in progress. It's kind of in the finishing touches. Mostly what I'm doing is I'm combat trialing it, so I fight it against a copy of itself and then adjust some of the settings. It's not going to be perfect, but, you know, like having welders and armoring the bridge a little bit more and adding decoy blocks and all that sort of stuff. So let's go into combat. You can see it's got good speed. With the arrow keys, if you use arrow keys for steering, gyros are pretty responsive for a humongous ship of this size. I've actually got a little targeting thing down here, so if when we get in range of him, be able to target him. There we go. So I've targeted him. Now this guy's phasers will knock out my shields pretty quick, so you'll get to see how the ship handles without shields. Because, you know, this thing has quite a lot of phaser banks, and as this target here is a duplicate of it that's just set to enemy, you'll see how powerful the ship is in response. Though the one thing I have that doesn't is I can fire my torpedoes. That ship really can't, because it doesn't have an AI that can handle torpedoes. In regular combat, you wouldn't waste torpedoes on shields, but I'm just going to fire them anyway because it's visually exciting. And I can switch to quantum torpedoes. So he'll start firing at me once I hit 5 kilometers. But my quantums have a little bit better range, so those track. Oh yeah, right in the shields. His shields are not affected. And he's lighting me up. Yep, and for whatever reason, my phasers never fire right away. Yeah. Give him some more torpedoes. See if they hit when the shields are down. No, a little bit early. Okay, now the shields are down, so now I'd want to... Yeah, my shields went down at the same time. Yep. Oh yeah, good hit with the torpedoes. My bottom sensor array got blown off, I think. Give him some more quantums. And one of the things I find is that if you bank to the side, the rearward phasers can also fire. Oh yeah, the sim speed's taking a... There we go. And you know, if you fire the torpedoes out into space, they'll track back onto the target. Those torpedoes do a crap ton of damage. Actually, I'm going to go wet torpedoes, and I'm going to tell them to target power systems and target subsystems. Yeah. Yeah, because I want to... Oh, my shields went down again. And actually, let's use the rearward torpedoes as we fly away. Yeah, so let's say after you've done a broadside, but yeah, once you've completed a broadside and you start traveling away, You can fire torpedoes out of the back. No, they're a little bit wide, but they'll track back on. Yeah, there they go. Ooh, yeah. Yeah, give them lots of torpedoes. For whatever reason, the weapon core AI always goes for cockpit, so basically all the shuttles get vaporized in combat. Yeah, give them a couple more. Yeah, my shields are back. So I'll get out of range of his phasers before my shields die again. Okay. I'm out of... Oh, his shields went back up. Yeah, so his shield system is still active. You know, I'm going to see... Because the other problem is that he's got welders that are fixing his weapon systems, and he's in creative, so his phasers aren't really going to die. So if I tell my torpedoes to target all the offensive systems, and then tell my phasers, my pulse phasers, to target the power, and my regular phasers to target anything. Okay. Let's... Oh, and there's some stuff. Yeah, the shuttles got banged up. But yeah, now with my torpedoes set to go after his offensive systems, when I knock his shields down the next time, I might actually be able to knock out some of his phasers. See, that's the thing that's tricky. You know, I'm fighting a version of my own ship, and for whatever reason, his AI always fires before my AI, my turrets. I gotta figure out how to adjust that. So it's usually a tough battle of my shields going down before his, but... Alright, once I get into range, I'll fire off some quantums that are going to do very little damage because the shields are up, but, you know, it looks cool. Yeah. Very, like, 3% damage against shields. Like, the torpedoes are completely useless against shields. Yeah. Yeah, and of course, his phasers fire first. So my shields are going to go down long before his shields go down. But I don't really care at this point. Yeah, my shields are going to be gone in a second, and my phasers just started firing. Yeah. Goodbye, shields. Waiting for his shields to go down. Yeah, my phaser AI is really annoying. Okay, I'm gonna have to switch to the rear torpedo launchers, because those will turn around. I've also got Gatling turrets just for, like, missiles. Yeah, and my AI's messing up again. See, they're shooting up. I don't know. His AI turrets have no problem whatsoever. Mine are firing off into space. Like I said, I'm still working things out. Oh, he's taking a lot of damage from those torpedoes. And let's pan up and hit him real hard with torpedoes. A little bit too high. Yeah. Man, those welders in creative mode are unstoppable. Alright. Let's get out of here. He's pretty well damaged. So, I think he's done for. We took some pretty heavy damage. Oh, he's still firing on us. Stop it. Give up already. Yeah, let's just get out of range where he stops firing at me. The bridge held up okay. Yeah. This is the first combat flight I've done since the upgrades to the bridge armor. And yeah, everything in here is A-okay. Let's check out our... Oh, the gravity system seems to be destroyed, though. Let's go down from red alert. Oh, yeah, let's go out the outside to inspect the damage. But you see, in combat, I always tried to keep the bottom of the ship facing towards him so that his shots would go up through the thing. Yeah, look at that. That went right through and knocked out my gravity system. Jump drive still operational. I didn't even Now I have doors that go over the torpedo bays, but the torpedoes are all good. The welders were working. Definitely took some damage to the drive section, but the reactors are mostly online, it looks like. Yeah, all the reactors are online. That's very impressive. It didn't do any damage to my reactors. The shuttle... Normally this guy likes to snipe the cockpits out of the shuttles, but the shuttle's okay, surprisingly. So I'm going to put decoys in the nacelles, just so that in combat, both, they can absorb hits that otherwise would hit critical systems, but also it seems every time I get into a battle, the nacelles are untouched, other than the Gatling turrets, because they're so low priority for the turret AI. So I'm going to put some decoys in there just so they absorb some damage. But yeah, the upper saucer is pretty good. I think the only thing left to do is to do a saucer separation. So I got to go to the engineering controls for that. Third page. Looks like I've lost, I think that was the remote control block for the drive section. But if I hit that, the interior antenna on the saucer turns on. And after 10 seconds, once the interior doors have closed on both the drive section and the saucer section, it disconnects. And of course, engineering can't fly, so I gotta switch to tactical. Yeah, and I separate off. And there you go. And there's a little proximity light that light will turn off, yeah, once it's detected that there's anything nearby. And I have appeared to have lost, well, the torpedoes have disconnected, obviously. Gatling turrets have disconnected. My shield's online, so this has its own separate shield. That's what the backup shield generator also is, the saucer shield generator, so when they separated, they can both have shields. And yeah, if you're in a combat area and you really want to get out of dodge, this has all of your crew, mess halls, sick bays, basically all the habitation part of the ship. But yeah, so this is the corridor that closed because the saucer separated. I can override it, which if I didn't already have air leaks would depressurize, and this is why you don't hang out here when the ship's under red alert. Because if you're, having lunch or smoking a cigarette here when the saucer separates, you're going to have a real bad time. But yeah, and if we go down here to the drive section, it's got its own pressure doors that also close, so that stays pressurized. And all of this is pressurized, so sealed. If the ship didn't have a bunch of holes in it right now, it would keep the interior pressurized here. And then this is where... the gravity's still active down here, which is nice. Well, because this gravity generator is in an armored block. But yeah, see now, the engineering cockpit makes sense. So you have this. So it's fast because of all the hydrogen thrusters, but it does not have a whole lot of turning capability, which I think is fair. I really prioritize the gyros to be in the saucer, because when it separates and you're really trying to maneuver around, it seems like it's more advantageous. And if you're ejecting the drive section, I imagine it's not because you're steering it, it's probably because there's something wrong with it. If you have like the mod that causes jump drives to explode massively, well then yeah, you'd want to get rid of that. It also has the primary shields. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And take a look at our ships. Yeah, so that's the Invincible class heavy cruiser. I hope you enjoy it. I hope that by the time you're seeing this video, it's finished and it's downloadable on the workshop, and you can enjoy this Star Trek inspired build that is actually kind of practical, and other than the humongous amount of blocks that are involved in it. And I want to thank the guys behind Weapon Core and the custom Star Trek phaser and torpedo mods, as well as the shield mods. It's really great, and it really kind of makes this a practical combat ship, because it has shields that can, if it's not fighting another ship with phasers, it can take a hell of a beating. And it's got tons of customizability. I'm still working out some AI stuff with the phasers acting weird, but besides that, just really great for actually doing Star Trek style combat. So yeah, hope you enjoy.